Alright guys, sorry about that. I made the entire video and when I went to go check it, it turns out that my phone was full and this part of the video didn't get recorded. So, my apologies. Let me do it again. Alright, the first part of the video ended with us talking about how we can use magnetism to create electricity. Okay? When a magnet moves through a coil, okay, if that coil of wire is attached to a circuit, we create current, okay? Which again, I know this doesn't look exciting, but I am creating electricity when I do that, all right? So, this is called electromagnetic induction. You'll see this word a lot right here, okay? And this is how 90% of the electricity on this planet is made in one form or another. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so you may have noticed that when I moved the magnet in one direction, the needle moved in one direction. When I moved the magnet in the other direction, the needle moved in the other direction. The reason that this happened is because there is a direction to current. Okay, if you move the magnet one way, you're going to get what's called positive current. If you move it the other way, you get what's called negative current. And all positive and negative mean are what direction they're moving. Okay, if the current's moving forward, it's positive. If it's moving backwards, it's negative. All right. So, how can we use electromagnetic induction? The two big ways are what are called generators and what are called transformers. And again, I'll let you read this. This is all online on your PowerPoint. But I'm going to go through, and the other one we use is motors. We'll get there in a second. So we have generators, transformers, and motors. Let me break down each one and kind of talk about them. Okay, generators. Generators convert mechanical energy into electrical energy. Mechanical energy or kinetic energy, right, is movement. Generators take movement and they make electricity. All right, how do they do that? Simply put, a generator moves a magnet through a coil of wire and creates current, okay, that is then trapped somewhere. It's either put into a circuit or it's stored in a battery, whatever. Here's another example, okay? Instead of the magnet being inside of the coil, now the coil is inside of the magnet. It works the same both ways. If you have a flashlight in your house that you can wind up, that's a generator, okay? So here's how this works. Here we have a crank. We have a guy, a girl, right, turning the crank, and attached to the crank there is a coil, okay? That coil has two ends that are connected to a light bulb to form a circuit. As the coil spins around inside of the magnet, okay, its moving magnetic fields creates an electrical current, thus making electricity. It's beautiful. And there's lots of examples of generators in the world. You might even have one in your garage that looks like this. Okay, this is a gasoline powered generator. The way it works is when you turn it on, you have the gasoline. That chemical energy from that gasoline is ignited, turned into thermal energy. That thermal energy heats up the area, spins around a turbine, okay? And inside that turbine, there is a magnet, and that magnet's inside of a coil that creates electricity. That seems like a lot, but if you kind of look at all these other examples, you realize that they're all the same. Like, for example, windmills. You've seen windmills before. The way a windmill works is the wind pushes these big blades, which are called turbines, okay? And as the wind pushes the turbines spin inside of the turbine, okay? There's a magnet. That magnet moves through a coil, and voila, you've created electricity. Same thing for a hydroelectric dam. Water goes through the dam. As it's going through the dam, you guessed it, there's a turbine. The water makes the turbine spin. Inside the turbine, there's a magnet. That magnet spins around inside of a coil. You get electricity. And actually, nuclear power plants work the exact same way. It's just that instead of water or wind, we use nuclear explosions. Those nuclear explosions heat up water, believe it or not. That's what you're seeing coming out of the top there is steam, okay? That water is heated up, okay? As the steam rises, there's a turbine right here, sideways, and those turbines spin, moving a magnet through a coil, creating electricity. Okay. Same thing for natural gas and coal plants. They work just like this. You heat up water, the water moves the turbine, that makes electricity. These are great. So when you think about all the electricity that you have in your house, 90% of that comes from electromagnetic induction using a generator, which is cool. All right. Number 2 on the list, motors. Motors can be thought of the opposite of generators. Okay. Motors take electrical energy and use that to create movement. They take electricity and they use that electricity to move something. All right. A great example is think of like an electric fan. Okay. You put a battery in the fan. Okay. That has electrical energy in the battery that is turned into movement of the fan. So how does this work? Okay. We have a battery, and then connected in that circuit is something called an armature. All right. So this armature here is like one single coil of wire that is connected back to the battery. So when you turn this on, current runs through the coil, okay, thus making the armature into an electromagnet, right? Okay, so what we've seen here is that around the armature there is a permanent magnet. There's a north side and a south side on either side of the coil. So what happens is that the north side of the armature is attracted to the south side permanent magnet, and the south side of the armature is attracted to the north side, causing the armature to spin, right? Now, if that's all it did, we wouldn't have a motor, we would just have 2 magnets attracting each other. But the trick is that there's a break in that armature, right, in this little disc right here, okay? So as it's spinning, what happens is when the south side of the armature is touching the north side of the magnet, this little connection cuts the circuit, okay, which means that there's no longer any electricity in there, which means that there's no longer any magnetic field, which means that this is no longer attracted to this. So what happens is it started spinning, now there's no current, so it just keeps spinning. And as it keeps spinning, it reconnects that circuit, which means now that spinning side wants to flip all the way around again to go back to the north side, which keeps it spinning around and around and around and around. You can actually build a simple motor yourself. I have tried to build one, and here's what I have. Okay, here I have a D-cell battery, okay, that is connected, the ends are connected to these metal poles right here. I have a magnet, it's actually 2 magnets that I'm putting on the top right there, and I have a piece of copper wire that I've shaved off one side of both of these arms, just like that right there. So when I put the copper wire onto this, okay, I create a full circuit, and as you can see, the wire starts to move. Now, this has not been working. Look at that. That is a motor. The electricity is going through the wire, okay, which causes it to have a magnetic field, and it is attracted and repulsed by that magnet right there. You put a little fan on this end, or a wheel, bam, you got yourself a toy car. Pretty cool, right? Okay, those are motors. Motors take electrical energy and turn it into mechanical energy. It's the opposite of a generator. A generator takes mechanical energy, movement, to make electricity. Just remember, a generator generates electricity and motors move things, right? If you want a nice big read up on electrical motors, I put it right here. Knock yourself out, okay? But I'm gonna move forward with the last thing we have to talk about today, which are transformers. These are not your Optimus Prime and Bumblebee style transformers. These are electrical transformers, okay? And electrical transformers, their job is very simple. What they do is they transform the voltage, okay? A transformer either increases or decreases the amount of voltage that's in a circuit, okay? Let's see how it does that. The way it does it is very simple, okay? You have this big loop, okay, magnetic piece right here. On one end, you have the primary windings. On the other end, you have the secondary windings. And what this means is your primary windings, this is your input, and your secondary windings is your output. Okay, so in this case, what you have to look at is how many wrappings there are on each side. Because if you remember from our electromagnet that we made, the more wrappings you have, the stronger it is, the more voltage is going through it. Or in this case, the stronger the battery is, or the stronger the electromagnet is. So here, this red side, our primary side, we have a lot of windings, which means there's a lot of voltage coming into the transformer. On this side, we have less windings, which means that we have less voltage coming out of the transformer. So this is what is called a step-down transformer. You have a lot of voltage coming in and a small amount of voltage going out, okay? But you can have it either way. So again, here, this is called a step-up transformer because we have low windings going in and high windings coming out, meaning you got low voltage going in, but when it comes out, it's really high voltage. And here, you have high voltage coming in and low voltage coming out. Well, why would we want this, okay? The reason that we use transformers is because we don't want to burn our houses down, all right? The voltage that is coming to your house through the power lines is super, super high voltage, okay? If that amount of voltage actually got to your house, everything in your house would fry and it would burn down. If you remember, everything in the United States is at 120 volts, and that's because before electricity goes from the power lines into your house, it goes through a step-down transformer, okay? So you have really high voltage coming from the power lines, goes through the transformer, and comes out as a perfect 120 volts into your house, which is great, okay? So let's look at just the how a whole generating system can work here. Here, we are looking at a hydroelectric dam system, all right? So this is like a reservoir. If you've ever seen like a big lake that's a reservoir, this is how it works. Here's your lake. Up against the lake, you have a gate, a control gate, that opens and closes the water flow to this tunnel, okay? When you want electricity, you open the gate, water flows through the tunnel, and there's a generator right here, right? So you got your turbine. Remember, it's just a big, it's like a big blade. It's a big, like a windmill, fan, okay, looking thing. The water spins that turbine. In the middle of that turbine, there's a magnet. That magnet spins inside of a coil. Voila, you've created electricity, okay? Before that electricity goes into the power lines, you want it to go through a transformer because you want to take however much electricity is coming out of this out of this generator, you want to step it up. You want it to get to be as high voltage as you can so it goes into these power lines so you can move as much electricity as you need to, okay? So this is a step up transformer. You increase the voltage going into the power lines, and then when the electricity comes out of the power lines, there's a step down transformer that allows it to go safely into your house. If you've ever had a power outage at your house before, you may have heard somebody say, oh, the transformer's down. That's what that means. It means you and your neighbors probably don't have electricity until they get that transformer working again, which is annoying, but it is much better than your house is catching on fire. All right? Okay, that is all of the information that you need. Generators turn movement into electricity. They generate electricity. Motors take electricity and turn it into movement, okay, or mechanical energy. Transformers increase and decrease the voltage. And remember, the more windings, the more voltage you have. All right? That's all you need to know. Make sure you get your quizzes, DOL, done before 3 p.m. this Friday. At least have one chance at it, because that's how I'm going to mark your attendance this week. If you have any questions, I'll be on Zoom to answer them. All right? You guys have a great day.